All right, so let's dig into each of those levers. So I want to start with the last one first, actually, payback period. Because the payback period is very relevant for technology startups. I think one of the challenges with a lot of businesses is even if you can have profitable marketing, let's go back to our magical machine where you put in $1 and get $1 out. The insight that I figured out over the last several years, and it took me many years to figure it out, is that you, in most cases, don't make the $1 immediately. If you did, that would be a magical machine because you would just you would raise a little bit of money to get $1.01 out immediately, and then you would turn around and take all those extra pennies and just keep pumping money through the machine and never raise money ever again, and it would infinitely grow your cash immediately. The problem is that's not how businesses work in most cases. It generally takes you a long time to get to the $1. So when we think about payback period, if we think about payback period over, let's say, 6 months versus 3 months, even if you have the same machine, it's a world of difference. Because let's say that our payback period on this $1 to get $1.01 is 6 months versus 3 months. Within the first 3 months, we make a penny. And if we did this 100 times, we could take that again and take that penny of profit 100 times and pour it back as $1 back into the machine at month 3. And do the same thing at month 6. So we get twice as many turns as if we compare to having a payback period of 6 months and we only make the penny profit 6 months later. In other words, there's a huge benefit to being able to pay back the cost super quickly. Now, what this is also related to is how much capital you actually need in a business. Even when you have a profitable machine like this, most people don't have loads of cash just sitting around. And so if you are profitable on this spend 6 months later, what are you going to do for the next several months while you're waiting for that initial spend to be profitable? Well, you're probably not just going to sit around. You probably want to pump more money in here to be profitable again 6 months later. But that means you're going to have to raise a lot of money. Because that lot of money is going to have to tie you over for the next 6 months until you get that first ounce of profit. So the reason why I bring this up is companies that can get a faster payback period are at a huge advantage. This is why people often tell you if you have, let's say, a subscription software, that you should charge an annual contract up front and try to get 12 months of revenue up front all at once. Because then you can use that cash to pour back into your machine and get more customers because you're getting all the cash up front and that's great. In contrast, the other way around, in let's say the ads world, which is where I come from, very often you have to invoice your customers and then you get paid back 30 days, 60 days, 90 days later. Your machine is way slower. And so this is really important because it is critical to your cash management. It is not good enough to build a profitable machine. You need to think about your cash management as well because that also affects how much money you need to raise. In addition, when investors look at this, they will want to know what your payback period is because that also gives them a sense of how much leverage they have on the situation and how much other money you'll need from other investors besides them. And that will be a consideration for their investment as well. So as a very concrete example, at Hustle Fund, because we are only writing small checks, $25,000, we really like fast payback periods. If it takes you 2 years or 1 year or even 6 months to get paid back, that is actually a big concern for us, even if you can build this profitable machine. Because ideally, we want to be in businesses that don't need to raise that much money. And as an early stage investor, that matters because we get diluted too for every single fundraising round that a startup does. And also, it's a risk that we take if you need to go and raise a lot of money just to make this machine work, because it means that it is potentially risky for us if you cannot raise that amount of money. So that's why payback period matters, and nobody really thinks about it. So, what is a good payback period for startups? Well, I think there are lots of schools of thought on this, and there are a lot of articles out there on the web. I think even David Skoke from Matrix Partners wrote one on payback period, and I think he mentioned something about a target payback of several months. Well, several months might be okay for a Series A company, or even more than several months. But for a pre-seed company where we're investing, I actually think that you want to be aiming for building a marketing machine like this such that you are paid back immediately on first purchase. Like, this should be immediate, because what will happen is that eventually the payback period is going to get extended over time, and it won't be instantaneous payback anymore. Payback periods generally only go up in time, not down. And we'll talk about that more later as we talk about the other two terms. But that's how I think about payback period. If you're a pre-seed company, you want your machine to give you payback immediately. And if it's not, this is sort of where people have differing opinions. But if you are not tied to your idea, I personally would probably keep on looking for a new idea that can get you this fast machine, at least in the beginning, because the payback period will only go up.